yesterday, I believe you said something about how over the course of the past week or 10 days or so, in terms of formulating what the response is going to be, that you were consulting with NATO allies, European, partners and allies. And I just wanted to know, does that include Ukraine? Have Ukrainian officials been consulted about what this response is going to be, and are you taking into account their concerns or considerations in the document?
Yes and yes. We have been consulting extensively with our allies and our partners, and of course, when it comes to the latter category, that includes Ukraine. We have not only informed them and given them a preview of what will be in this report, but we have actually explicitly solicited their feedback and incorporated that feedback into our report. So there will be no surprises. There will be no surprises for NATO. There will be no surprises for our European allies. There will be no surprises for our Ukrainian partners.
And there'll be no surprises for us or the Russians either?
We have been also very clear with all of you, because you have heard us consistently say what the areas where diplomacy and dialogue may prove fruitful and viable, and the areas that are just non-starters. I take it from your questions that there's a perception that we have been less transparent than, or might be less transparent than the other side, than the Russians in this case. What I would say is that the Russians have held out one criterion, and that is their demands when it comes to NATO and open door, and we've been very clear about that. But we have also been very clear about specific areas, whether it's the placement of offensive missiles, whether it is transparency, whether it is exercises, whether it is broader arms control measures, where, if done on a reciprocal basis, there is the potential to enhance collective transatlantic and broader security. Those are areas where we've been very clear that we're willing to engage in dialogue. We have been consistently transparent with all of you, just as we have conveyed this very clearly and consistently to the Russian Federation.
Right, well, there wasn't any implication in my question, but let me just ask this. I mean, is there going to be anything in there that the Russians aren't already aware of that are your positions?
You will have to ask the Russians when they see the response.
Because it sounds as though there won't be anything in there that's a surprise, which means that it's kind of a document that is kind of a dead letter, right?
Well, look, if you're pointing to the fact that we have been very clear, both in public and in private, with the Russian Federation in the Strategic Stability Dialogue, with the Russian Federation in Secretary Blinken's meeting with his counterpart, Foreign Minister Lavrov, last week, with the Russian Federation in the context of the NATO-Russia Council, with the Russian Federation in the context of the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, the OSCE. Yes, we have been very clear about the areas where we believe dialogue and diplomacy has the potential to enhance our collective security. We've also been very clear about the areas that for us are just non-starters. For us, that would be fundamental violations of the founding principles of NATO and other foundational security instruments that have protected, enhanced, promoted unprecedented levels of security, stability, prosperity for the past 70 years. So you will have to ask the Russians for their response once they see our written report, but you are correct in one regard. We have been very clear and consistent about areas where diplomacy and dialogue may be fruitful, and areas where we are sincerely and steadfastly interested in engaging in that diplomacy, and areas where, for us, it's just non-negotiable.